The massive Empire ship emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. Its metallic surface gleamed under the distant sunlight, dwarfing the human observation station positioned near Jupiter's orbit. Inside the station, warning lights flashed as sensors detected the unknown vessel. Admiral James Walker stood straight-backed before the large display screen in Earth Defense Command's main chamber. His weathered face showed no emotion as he watched more Empire ships appear behind the first one. 20 years of military service had taught him to keep his feelings hidden, especially in front of his officers. "They're requesting communication, sir," reported Officer Thomas from his monitoring station. "Their language translation systems are compatible with ours." Walker nodded slowly. "Put them through on the main screen." The screen flickered to life, revealing a tall, purple-skinned alien wearing what appeared to be a highly decorated military uniform. Its 4 eyes blinked in sequence as it regarded the humans with what seemed like mild amusement. "Greetings, primitive species," the alien spoke, its translator converting its clicks and whistles into English. "I am High Commander Rax of the Eternal Galactic Empire. Your solar system has been chosen for peaceful integration into our realm." Walker's jaw tightened slightly, but his voice remained calm. "Welcome to Earth space, High Commander. I am Admiral James Walker of the Earth Defense Force. While we appreciate your offer, Earth and its colonies are a sovereign system. We are not interested in integration at this time." The alien's upper eyes narrowed. "You misunderstand, Admiral. This is not an offer. The Empire has ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. Resistance has never succeeded. Acceptance of our rule will make this process much easier for your species." In the background, Walker noticed the Empire ships moving into standard military formation. Their positioning revealed volumes about their tactical doctrine. Rigid, predictable, and absolutely confident in their technological superiority. It reminded him of old Earth histories, of powerful empires that fell to smaller, more adaptable forces. "High Commander," Walker spoke carefully, "I strongly advise you to reconsider. Humanity has no desire for conflict, but we will defend ourselves if necessary. You should know that we have never lost a war against an alien species." "That is because you have never faced the Empire," Rax replied dismissively. "Our technology is far beyond your comprehension. Our military might is unmatched in the known galaxy." Walker allowed himself a small smile. "With respect, High Commander, you're making assumptions about warfare based on your experience with other species. Humans are different. We've spent most of our history fighting ourselves, perfecting the art of war against equals. We know every trick, every strategy, every brutal reality of combat. Your primitive weapons do not concern us," Rax stated flatly. Walker shook his head. "It's not about the weapons, High Commander. It's about how we think, how we fight. We're telling you this as a warning, not a threat. If you force this conflict, you will see warfare unlike anything in your 10,000 years of history." "Your warning is noted and dismissed," Rax replied. "Prepare your leaders to receive our integration forces within 1 standard rotation of your planet." Before Walker could respond, the communication ended. He turned to his staff, noting their concerned faces. "Send word to all Earth forces," he ordered, "and contact our colonies on Mars and Europa. Tell them to begin Protocol Dark Winter." He paused, looking back at the screen showing the Empire ships. "They think they're invincible because they've never lost. They don't understand that humans don't fight like other species. We don't follow rules of engagement when our survival is at stake." Officer Thomas spoke up. "Sir, their ships do outclass ours in every category." "True," Walker agreed, "but they're about to learn something important about humans." He watched as more Empire ships appeared from hyperspace, their formation perfect and predictable. "We don't need to match their strength to defeat them. We just need them to bleed." As the Empire ships moved closer to Earth's orbit, Walker sent one final message. "To High Commander Rax, remember this moment. Remember that we warned you to run." The first shots of humanity's war for survival were about to begin, And the Galactic Empire was about to learn why humans had survived countless extinction-level events on their hostile homeworld. They were about to learn why humanity's enemies always fell, no matter how superior their technology or numbers. They were about to learn to fear. The Empire's massive ships hung in Earth's orbit like metal mountains in the sky. Their weapons were primed, shields raised, and troops ready for what they thought would be an easy victory. High Commander Rax stood on his command bridge, watching Earth's blue surface with all four of his eyes. "Begin the peaceful annexation," he ordered. "Show them the might of the Empire." But Earth was not defenseless. Deep underground, in military bases across the planet, humans were preparing. They had been ready for this moment since they first looked at the stars and realized they might not be alone. Admiral Walker sat in the heart of Earth Defense Command, surrounded by screens showing Earth's defenses coming to life. Unlike the Empire's shining ships in plain view, most of humanity's weapons remained hidden. The Empire couldn't destroy what they couldn't see. "Sir," Officer Thomas called out, "Mars colony reports they're dark and silent. Europa base confirms the same. All civilian populations are in deep shelters." Walker nodded. The Empire expected Earth to fight like every other species they conquered, with large ships, direct attacks, and traditional space warfare. They didn't understand that humans had learned different lessons from their own bloody history. "Launch Operation Ghost," Walker commanded. Across Earth's orbit, hundreds of seemingly harmless satellites suddenly changed course. The Empire's sensors registered them as debris, just as planned. These satellites carried no weapons. They didn't need to. Their only purpose was to spread millions of tiny metal pieces across specific orbital paths. High Commander Rax noticed nothing unusual as he ordered his first wave of ships to descend. "Begin landing procedures for the first." The sound of alarms cut him off. 3 Empire ships had suddenly lost engine power. Their perfect formation broke as they tried to avoid collision. The tiny metal pieces from Earth's satellites had shredded their engine intakes. "Impossible," Rax growled. "Their technology is too primitive for this." But humans hadn't relied on advanced technology. They'd used simple physics. Tiny pieces of metal moving at orbital speeds became deadlier than any bullet. Walker watched as the Empire ships struggled. "Phase 2, he ordered. "Show them what happens when they fight humans." From hidden bases on Earth's moon, electromagnetic pulses shot out in careful patterns. They weren't powerful enough to disable the Empire's ships completely, but they created just enough interference to disrupt their sensitive communication systems. Rax's voice crackled across broken communication channels. "Reform the formation. Prepare main weapons." But his ships couldn't reform their perfect military patterns. Without clear communications, each captain had to make their own decisions. This was exactly what humans had planned for. "They're used to fighting as one unit," Walker explained to his officers. "They've never faced an enemy who turns their strength into a weakness." The next phase began. Small, automated Earth ships appeared from hidden locations across the solar system. They didn't attack directly. Instead, they darted between the Empire's ships, forcing them to hold their fire to avoid hitting their own vessels. "These humans," Rax hissed, watching his perfect invasion fall into chaos. "They fight without honor." In the command center, Walker allowed himself a grim smile. "Send the message," he ordered. Every screen on every Empire ship suddenly showed the same words. "This is only the beginning. We warned you to run." The Empire's first wave was in shambles. Their formation was broken, their communications were confused, and their sensors were cluttered with thousands of false readings. They hadn't fired a single shot, but they were already losing. "High Commander," one of Rax's officers reported, "we're detecting more anomalies. The humans, they're doing something to the gravity fields around our ships." For the first time, Rax felt something he'd never experienced in battle: uncertainty. These humans didn't fight like any species the Empire had encountered in 10,000 years. They didn't follow the rules of warfare. They didn't care about showing their strength. They simply found weaknesses and struck without mercy. In Earth Defense Command, Walker watched the Empire's mighty ships struggle against humanity's traps and tricks. "Send word to all commands," he ordered. "Execute Phase 3. Let's show them why Earth's species survived when so many others went extinct." The real battle was about to begin, and the Empire was about to learn another lesson about humanity. Humans didn't fight to show their power. They fought to win, no matter what it took. Captain Michael Reed's small attack ship drifted silently through space, its engines cold, looking like just another piece of debris. Around him, 4 other ships did the same, all waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The Empire's massive warship passed nearby, its crew still struggling to deal with Earth's orbital traps. They never saw Reed's ship coming. Now, Reed whispered, even though sound didn't travel in space. His ship's engines flared to life. The other 4 ships followed, forming a perfect attack pattern they had practiced hundreds of times. Inside the Empire warship, alarms blared too late. Reed's ships were already launching their weapons, not advanced energy beams or fancy torpedoes, but simple kinetic rockets filled with ball bearings. The Empire's shields were designed to stop energy weapons, not thousands of small metal spheres moving at incredible speeds. Direct hit, Reed reported back to Earth Command. Moving to Phase 2. Before the Empire ship could respond, all 5 human ships scattered in different directions. They disappeared into the chaos of orbital debris and disabled systems floating around Earth. High Commander Rax slammed his fist against his command chair. "How are these primitives doing this? Find them." "Sir," his officer replied, "we can't track them. They're using our own damaged ships as cover. Our sensors can't tell what's debris and what's an enemy vessel." Meanwhile, on the dark side of Earth's moon, another human team prepared their attack. They had studied the Empire's ships carefully. The massive vessels used quantum communication systems to coordinate their actions, advanced technology that seemed impossible to disrupt. But humans had found a way. "Launch the quantum interference buoys," ordered Commander Lisa Stone from her hidden base. Hundreds of small devices activated, each one creating a tiny distortion in quantum space. Alone, they did nothing. Together, they created a web of confusion for the Empire's communication systems. Rax's ship suddenly lost contact with half its fleet. In the confusion, Reed's attack ship struck again, this time targeting the Empire's sensor arrays. "They're not fighting fair," an Empire officer shouted in frustration. Reed's voice crackled across all Empire communication channels. "You're right. We're not fighting fair. We're fighting to win." The Empire ships tried to regroup, forming their standard defensive pattern. But humans had studied this pattern. They knew exactly where each ship would try to position itself. Hidden missile platforms on asteroids came to life, firing precisely at the spots where Empire ships were about to move. The Empire captains had to break formation or be hit, creating even more chaos. "Sir," Officer Thomas reported to Admiral Walker in Earth Defense Command, "the Empire is losing 15% of their combat effectiveness every hour. Their formations are breaking down. Their communications are failing." Walker nodded. "Good. Send in the next wave. Let's show them what else humans can do." Across the solar system, more human ships appeared from hidden bases on moons, asteroids, and even inside what the Empire thought were civilian stations. Each one struck fast and disappeared just as quickly. The Empire's mighty fleet was being torn apart piece by piece, and they still hadn't managed to fire a single effective shot at their human attackers. High Commander Rax's second-in-command spoke quietly. "We've lost contact with our rear guard. The humans, they're not just attacking our ships. They're targeting our supply lines." Rax stared at his tactical display in growing horror. The humans weren't trying to destroy his fleet. They were making it impossible for his fleet to function. Without supplies, without clear communications, without reliable sensors, his mighty ships were becoming useless. In his attack ship, Reed prepared for another strike. "Remember," he told his squadron, We don't need to destroy them. We just need to keep them confused, keep them scared, and keep them reacting to us. The Empire had never faced an enemy like this. They expected grand space battles, ships firing at each other in organized lines. Instead, they got hit-and-run attacks, invisible enemies, and constant, wearing harassment. As another Empire ship lost power and drifted out of formation, Rax finally began to understand what the humans had meant in their warning. His mighty fleet wasn't fighting a war. It was caught in a trap, and the humans were just getting started. Commander Lisa Stone sat in her darkened command center beneath the lunar surface, watching feeds from hundreds of miniature cameras planted on the hulls of Empire ships. She smiled as she prepared to launch the next phase of Earth's defense, psychological warfare. "Begin Operation Nightmare," she ordered. Across the Empire fleet, strange things started happening. Computer screens flickered with images of Earth's most dangerous predators. The low growl of a tiger, the haunting screech of an eagle, and the bone-chilling roar of ancient dinosaurs played through their communication systems. High Commander Rax tried to maintain control of his increasingly nervous crew. "Ignore these primitive scare tactics," he ordered, but he could see the fear in all four eyes of his officers. That's when the whispers started. Using precisely targeted radio waves, human forces sent messages through the Empire ships' hulls. The metal vibrated, creating sounds that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. "We are everywhere," the whispers said in the Empire's own language. "We are nowhere. You cannot find us. You cannot fight us." An Empire soldier, standing guard in a quiet corridor, heard footsteps behind him. When he turned, no one was there. The humans had learned to manipulate the Empire ship's internal sensors, creating ghost readings that drove the crews to exhaustion. "Sir," an Empire officer reported to Rax, his voice shaking, "3 more crews are reporting severe sleep deprivation. They keep seeing shadows moving on their scanners, but nothing's there when they check." In her command center, Stone watched the psychological damage spread. Humans spent centuries perfecting the art of breaking an enemy's will. She explained to her staff, the Empire never learned these lessons because they always relied on brute force. The next phase began. Small drones, completely invisible to Empire sensors, attached themselves to ship hulls. They didn't carry weapons. They simply tapped irregular patterns, creating sounds that prevented the Empire crews from sleeping. "They're in the walls." An Empire soldier screamed, firing his weapon at empty corridors. More and more crew members reported similar experiences, jumping at shadows and hearing noises that shouldn't exist in space. Rax received reports from across his fleet. Crew members were refusing to work alone. Some wouldn't sleep without weapons beside them. Others begged to be transferred away from the outer hull sections, where the tapping never stopped. "These are just tricks," Rax shouted at his officers. "The humans have no real power over us." A voice answered him from every speaker in his ship. "Then why are you afraid, Commander?" Stone's teams had studied the Empire's psychology carefully. They learned that the Empire species had evolved as herd creatures, always staying in large groups. Isolation terrified them. Humans used this knowledge mercilessly. "Cut power to sections 3 through 7, Stone ordered. All lights in those sections of the Empire ships went dark. Emergency systems failed to activate, leaving Empire soldiers alone in the darkness they feared so much. Admiral Walker's voice reached Stone through secure channels. "Status report. The Empire's morale is breaking," Stone replied. "Their crews are exhausted, paranoid, and jumping at shadows. Phase 4 is ready to begin." Across the fleet, Empire soldiers watched in horror as their computer screens showed images of Earth's history, not of peace, but of war. They saw humans fighting against impossible odds and winning. They saw the brutal creativity humans brought to warfare. They saw what happened to those who threatened Earth. "Let them think about what they've seen," Stone told her team. "Let them imagine what we might do next." In his command center, Rax faced a crisis he'd never experienced in his long military career. His soldiers weren't just losing a battle, they were losing their minds. The humans hadn't just attacked their ships, they'd attacked their courage, their confidence, and their sanity. "Sir," his second-in-command whispered, "the crew is talking about the humans being demons. They say we've challenged something we don't understand." As if in response, every light in Rax's ship flickered, and in the moment of darkness, thousands of voices whispered in unison, "Run." The Empire was learning that humans didn't just fight with weapons. They fought with fear, with darkness, and with the ancient terrors that lived in every species' nightmares. And they were very, very good at it. Admiral Walker stood before the main tactical display in Earth Defense Command, watching the Empire fleet struggle against their latest attack. This phase would show the Empire why fighting humans was different from any war they'd fought before. "Begin Operation Gravity," he commanded. Across Earth's orbit, hidden stations activated powerful gravity generators. These weren't advanced alien technology. They were simple machines that used Earth's natural gravity well as a weapon. The Empire ships, used to the steady pull of artificial gravity, suddenly found themselves being pulled in multiple directions. "High Commander," an Empire officer shouted, "our ships are being torn apart. The humans, they're using gravity itself against us." Rax watched in horror as his mighty warships were forced to fight against invisible forces that pulled and pushed them like toys. His engineers had never designed the ships to handle changing gravity fields. The humans had turned nature itself into a weapon. "Impossible," Rax muttered. "They're breaking every rule of civilized warfare." Walker's voice came through their communications. "Rules? We don't fight wars with rules. We fight to survive." On Earth's moon, Captain Reed led the next phase of the attack. His ships released thousands of small metal cubes into space. The Empire sensors showed them as harmless debris, until they suddenly activated, creating a massive electromagnetic web. "Their shields are designed to stop energy weapons and physical impacts," Reed explained to his crew. But they never thought about what happens when you change the space around their ships. The Empire fleet watched helplessly as their advanced energy weapons fired, only to have the beams caught and redirected by the electromagnetic web. Their own shots began hitting their ships, causing chaos in their formation. "Sir," Officer Thomas reported to Walker, "the Empire is losing ships faster than they can adapt. They're trying to use their old tactics, but nothing works." Walker nodded. "Launch the miners." Hundreds of small mining ships, normally used for asteroid mining, emerged from hiding. They carried no weapons. Instead, they used their industrial cutting beams to slice through the Empire's ship hulls. It wasn't elegant, but it was effective. "This is barbaric," Rax shouted across the communication channels. "You're using industrial equipment as weapons." "We're using everything as weapons," Walker replied calmly. "That's how humans fight." The next wave brought more surprises. Human ships began releasing what looked like clouds of gas. The Empire's sensors couldn't detect anything dangerous, until the gas clouds ignited in brilliant flashes, overloading their sensitive optical sensors. In their confusion, they didn't notice the small teams of human soldiers using the chaos to board their ships. These weren't traditional soldiers. They were engineers, hackers, and mechanics who knew exactly how to make things stop working. "Sir," Rax's officer reported, "we're losing control of our systems. The humans, they're not trying to take our ships. They're just breaking everything." Walker watched as the mighty Empire fleet fell into complete disarray. Their perfect formations were shattered. Their advanced weapons were useless. Their unbeatable ships were being defeated by mining tools and gravity tricks. "Send the message," Walker ordered. Every screen on every Empire ship showed the same images. Humans throughout history, fighting against overwhelming odds. Prehistoric humans taking down mammoths with simple spears. Ancient armies defeating larger forces through clever tactics. Modern soldiers adapting and overcoming superior technology. You thought we would fight like others. Walker's voice echoed through their ships. You thought we would follow the rules of space warfare. But humans learned to fight before we had rules. We learned to survive before we had technology. And we never, ever forgot those lessons. The Empire fleet, once proud and unstoppable, now hung in space like wounded animals. Their mighty ships were being defeated not by superior technology, but by simple physics, basic tools, and human ingenuity. Rax stared at his tactical display, watching more red lights appear as systems failed across his fleet. For the first time in his life, he understood true fear. The humans weren't just fighting differently. They were rewriting everything the Empire knew about warfare. And they were winning. High Commander Rax called an emergency meeting with his remaining ship commanders. The holographic images of 20 captains flickered before him, less than half of his original force. Their faces showed the strain of constant human attacks. We must adapt to their tactics, Rax declared. If they want to fight dirty, we will do the same. But humans had spent thousands of years perfecting the art of warfare. The Empire was trying to learn in days what humanity had learned through centuries of conflict. Major Robert Thompson watched from his stealth ship as the Empire fleet began changing its tactics. They split into smaller groups, trying to copy human hit-and-run attacks. They turned off their main engines, attempting to drift like human ships. "Sir," Thompson radioed to Admiral Walker, "they're trying to fight like us." Walker's response was calm. "Show them why that's a mistake." Thompson's ships launched their attack. The Empire vessels, unused to operating in small groups, couldn't coordinate properly. Their attempts to move quietly made them slower, easier targets. They had copied human tactics without understanding the years of training behind them. "They're looking for patterns in our attacks," Commander Stone reported from her lunar base. "They think if they study us long enough, they'll find a weakness." "Then let's show them what happens when humans really get creative," Walker ordered. The next human attack caught the Empire completely by surprise. Instead of ships, humans launched what looked like space junk toward the Empire fleet. The Empire ignored it, until the junk exploded into clouds of paint, covering their sensors and viewports. "Blind them," Thompson ordered. "You can't fight what you can't see." While the Empire ships tried to clear their sensors, human forces struck from new directions. They had changed their tactics again, proving that copying one human strategy was useless. "How?" Rax demanded as another ship reported heavy damage. "How do they keep changing their methods so quickly?" The answer came from an unexpected source, one of his own officers who had studied human history. "Sir, humans don't have one way of fighting. They have thousands. They've spent their entire history fighting themselves, creating endless ways to win." As if proving this point, the humans launched their next attack. This time, they used the Empire's own damaged ships as weapons, hacking their systems and sending them crashing into other Empire vessels. "They're learning, sir," Officer Thomas reported to Walker. "But they're learning the wrong lessons. They think they can beat us by copying our old tactics." Walker nodded. "And that's exactly why they'll fail. Show them the new tactics." Across the battlefield, human ships began moving in ways the Empire hadn't seen before. They used complex maneuvers that looked like chaos, but were actually carefully planned. Each time the Empire thought they understood the pattern, it changed. "Their ships are revolting." An Empire captain screamed through the command channel. His crew had refused to follow orders, too terrified of what the humans might do next. Rax watched helplessly as his fleet fell apart. When his ships stayed together, humans used their numbers against them. When they split up, humans picked them off one by one. When they tried to hide, humans found them. When they tried to fight, humans disappeared. "We're not just losing the battle," his second-in-command whispered. "We're losing our will to fight." Thompson's voice cut through their communications. "You can't win this war. Every time you think you understand us, we change. Every time you learn one of our tricks, we have 10 more ready. This is what humans do. This is why we survive." The Empire fleet, once proud and unstoppable, now drifted in disarray. Their attempts to adapt had failed. Their efforts to copy human tactics had backfired. They were learning, but far too late, that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their tricks. It was their ability to never stop changing, never stop adapting, and never stop finding new ways to fight. The Empire's learning curve had become their death spiral. High Commander Rax stood on his command bridge, surrounded by broken screens and exhausted officers. His mighty fleet, once numbering hundreds of ships, was now reduced to less than 30 functioning vessels. The space around Earth was filled with the drifting hulks of damaged Empire ships. "Sir," his second-in-command spoke quietly, "we've lost contact with our home base. The humans have destroyed our quantum communication network. We're alone." Rax stared at Earth through his viewport. The blue planet looked peaceful from space, but he now knew better. This wasn't just a world. It was a fortress, defended by the most terrifying species he had ever encountered. Admiral Walker's voice reached every surviving Empire ship. "Your fleet is defeated. Your supply lines are cut. Your communications are gone. We gave you a chance to run. Now, we give you one last choice." In Earth Defense Command, Walker stood before his tactical display. The remaining Empire ships showed as dim red dots, surrounded by the wreckage of their fleet. Captain Reed, Commander Stone, and Major Thompson stood with him, their forces ready for the final attack. "The choice is simple," Walker continued. "Surrender and leave our space forever, or stay and be destroyed. We will give you 1 hour to decide." On his damaged flagship, Rax received reports from his surviving ships. The news was all the same: crews refusing to fight, officers requesting retreat, soldiers showing signs of complete mental breakdown. The humans hadn't just defeated their ships, they had broken their spirit. "Sir," an officer called out, "look at the tactical display." The space around the Empire fleet suddenly lit up with thousands of signals. Hidden human ships, weapons platforms, and defense systems revealed themselves. The Empire fleet wasn't just defeated, they were surrounded by enough firepower to vaporize them instantly. All this time, Rax whispered, they were holding back. Walker's voice returned. "Yes, we were. Everything you faced until now, those were just our opening moves. Would you like to see what happens when humans stop being merciful?" The Empire crews watched in horror as recordings played on their screens, footage of Earth's most devastating weapons being tested, demonstrations of planet-killing technology that humans had developed but chosen not to use, simulations of what would happen if humans decided to fight without restraint. "We could have used these from the start," Walker explained. "We could have destroyed your fleet in the first hour. But we chose to give you a chance to learn, to understand. Now your time is running out." In his command center, Rax faced the hardest decision of his life. The Empire had never retreated, never surrendered, never lost a war in 10,000 years, but they had never faced humans before. "Sir," his second-in-command pleaded, "we must withdraw. The humans, they're not just warriors. There's something else, something worse." Rax looked at his tactical display one last time. He saw how the humans had positioned their forces, not just for victory, but for absolute destruction. They had planned for every possibility, prepared for every scenario. They weren't fighting to win anymore. They were ready to annihilate. "Send the message," Rax ordered, his voice heavy with defeat. "All ships, prepare for withdrawal." On Earth, Walker received the Empire's surrender. "Let them go," he ordered. "But make sure they remember this lesson." As the Empire ships prepared to leave, every screen on every vessel showed the same message. "We warned you to run. Remember why you chose to leave. Remember what humans can do, and never return." The mighty Empire fleet, or what remained of it, disappeared into hyperspace. They left behind their wrecked ships as monuments to their defeat, as warnings to others who might think of challenging Earth. In the following weeks, the Empire would declare Earth's solar system a forbidden zone. Stories would spread across the galaxy about the species that had done the impossible, the humans who had defeated the undefeatable Empire. But most importantly, they spread the warning the humans had given them. If you seek war with Earth, you better be ready to face something unlike anything you've ever seen. Because humans don't just fight wars, they redefine them.